Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fam 2 Cents cooking video, and today we're making homemade chicken tenders, something that I have been practicing the recipe for about 2 weeks now, just trying to make what I consider to be my perfect recipe for it, and this is the final result, guys. So starting off, you're going to need 2 cups of flour for one bowl, and you're also going to need 2 cups of flour for the other bowl. But in the second bowl, the bowl that you see me pouring the flour into now, you're going to also put about 1/4 cup of cornstarch in there also. The second bowl is also where you'll be putting your seasonings. Now, usually when I make chicken of any kind, I season the chicken and I season the flour. In an effort to try to be just a little bit healthier, what I've done is I only season the flour now. I don't season the chicken ahead of time, and that also helps with the cooking too, because before I decided to practice and work on specific recipes and stuff, especially in regards to chicken, I never really patted my chicken dry before I floured and did all that good stuff, but this time I've started to do so. So what seasonings are in here? We have about a tablespoon of lemon pepper, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, about a teaspoon of cayenne, and a tablespoon of seasoned salt. And you want to give that a nice good stir in there with the cornstarch and the flour, and that'll make your perfect dough, Jesus Christ. That'll make the perfect coating for your chicken. My tossing method is a little bit different this time around too, but we'll get into that in a moment here. You want to be pretty generous though with the because you're not seasoning the chicken at all. You want to be pretty generous with the seasonings that you put into the flour, because that's pretty much going to determine exactly how it's going to taste and bring all that flavor out of it. So you know, don't be afraid to go a little more. And what I usually do is I'll flour one of the pieces of chicken before all of the other ones. Give it a quick little fry real quick, or just like a little piece, maybe one of the portions that you cut off when you're chopping up the chicken, because you'll see me trim the chicken a little bit later, and just fry one of those up real quick to taste, to make sure that your flour is where you want it to be, so you can add stuff then and don't have to worry about trying to fix it later. Otherwise, that's what you need. So the next order of business, I'm making quite a few here. These chicken breasts are pretty large, and they'll make quite a few chicken tenders. So I'm gonna put 4 eggs and about a cup of milk. Actually, I didn't use the whole cup. That's about half a cup of milk and 4 eggs I'm putting in here. And we're gonna go ahead and give that a mix, but we're adding to it a little bit of hot sauce. Now, I can't remember exactly what it was that made me start doing this, like adding the hot sauce. I really don't remember what it was, but apparently my brain seems to think it adds some flavor. But aside from that, what it really adds is that nice golden color, because it's not, you know, just like white or yellow or anything like that. That kind of reddish color gives it a nice golden color when you fry it after the flour sets and stuff, and I really like it. Makes it look good. That's how I took that amazing picture that you guys are going to see towards the end. You'll see what I mean. I'm not sure really how much this adds to the flavor, to be honest, but I do like the coloring effect that it does afterwards. And you know, I like my chicken to be a little more spicy, and for some reason, like I said, my brain tells me that this helps with that just a little bit. So if it doesn't, if you are a culinary expert and you're like, wow, that's so stupid, like you're doing that for no reason, then don't do it. But I don't know, it's just something that I've been doing, so there it is. The next step might also be another strange one that people are not accustomed to, but I think you guys have seen me do it before. After I mix in the milk and the eggs and the hot sauce and all that good stuff, I actually strain that mixture to get the more gelatinous parts from the egg out. I think this makes the coating a lot more even, which I like, because sometimes when you're flouring it and the gelatinous parts gets on there, it can make flouring a little weird. It can create these kind of weird chunks inside your flour that's just, I don't know. I don't really like the taste of them. also, and I just don't like them. This was part of the reason why in previous videos I told you guys I don't use egg washes with my chicken. But now that I've figured this out, now that I've started doing this and straining that stuff that I don't like out, I'm egg washing all the time, because now I don't have to deal with that anymore. Once again, this is another one of those things that is completely optional. If it doesn't bother you, if you actually like that on there, if you think that it adds something to it or whatever, completely skip this part. You don't have to do it. This is just what I'm doing. So next up, I'm trimming the chicken just a little bit to make sure that when I cut out the tenders, they will be a little more uniform. Sometimes with chicken breasts, especially cheaper chicken breasts you get from like maybe a cheap grocery store or something like that, you'll have all this extra stuff on there that I cut off just to make things a little more uniform. Now, I don't throw that away. What I basically do is, after all the tenders are cooked, I take all those little bits and stuff that I cut off, flour them individually, and fry those at the end, and you got yourself some little nuggets that are really good to have after you're done, you know, with everything else. So it's just nice to have, and you know, but it helps in, like I said, it helps in keeping the tenders a little more uniform. Once again, there's a lot of optional things in this video, I guess, but once again, it's not something you have to do, it's just something that I choose to do. So the next step now is going to be cutting up the chicken into tenders. Now, there are various ways you can do this that will make them work for you. I don't know exactly how everybody does it, because there's not a really specific way you are supposed to do it. I guess it really depends on how you want your tender. So this first way I tried is I cut the chicken breast in half, and then I tried to kind of butterfly it to make it a little bit thinner. So when I cut the pieces or whatever, and I flour it and cook it or whatever, it won't take as long because they are thinner. You can do it that way. You could just cut it along the chicken long ways and just cook them exactly like that. They'll be a little bit thicker, probably take a little bit longer to cook, but that's fine too. Whatever you want to do. It really depends. Some people like, as opposed to making, you know, like the really long chicken tenders or whatever, they like to make maybe shorter ones that are a little more close to nuggets than tenders. Whatever you want to do, however you want to cut it, it's all going to be the same way. But like I said, the thickness of the chicken is going to determine how long you need to cook it, which it could take anywhere from 5 minutes on the thinner side all the way up to 8 to 10 minutes on the thicker side. So just keep that in mind. When you're making large batches like I'm doing right now, you want to cut them as thin as possible. You want to keep the cook time as short as possible, because you want that grease to last as long as you can, and it'll start to darken up and all that good stuff. Things start getting ugly after a while, so you want to keep the integrity of that grease as good as you can for as long as you can, especially if you're not, you know, changing it actively while cooking and stuff. So I went a little bit on the thinner side, but that is completely and 100% up to you, as usual. I am an advocate of freedom in the kitchen, as you guys can see. These videos are a guideline, and that's it. You don't have to do everything that I do exactly the way that I do it. I'm trying to provide a baseline for you guys to get a general idea, and you can tweak it to your liking. You know, that is the best thing about cooking, is whatever way you did it, if it tastes good to you, you did it right, in my opinion. There's some people who might disagree, but you know, it is what it is. And last but not least, it's time to utilize the coating station. We are dropping the chicken into the flour first. We drop it into the egg wash, make sure that it is completely covered, and allow it to drip for just a little bit. And lastly, you toss it into the flour. Now you want to really loosely toss the chicken into the other flour mixture, the seasoned flour mixture. You don't want to like grab it or anything like that too much. You just want to kind of take your hand and just like flop it around in there as much as possible. And what that'll do is it'll have the flour kind of create these little chunks or whatever on the chicken while you're tossing it to give you that kind of restaurant style texture. as opposed to like, you know, just like a smooth coating or something like that. If you like pat it down in there or something like that, you want to toss it really loosely to get the proper coating. Like I've done this quite a few times in a bunch of different instances, and I've come up with the way that I have decided to toss these to make the outer breading, or to get the best results for the outer breading, I guess I should say. And this is what I've come up with. So I think it looks good. I think it turned out good. Like I said, this is after 2 weeks of trial and error. I think I had to make this a total of 4 times over the course of those 2 weeks to really get it down. And this is what I've come up with, and I think it's perfect, man. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of different seasonings and stuff you can use, a lot of different methods and techniques for cuts. There's you know, you can kind of go nuts with this, which is pretty fun. You know, I like recipes like that where there's not just one way to do it. But this is my way. Replicate it if you like. The end result, it was, oh man, it pretty much speaks for itself. You guys are gonna see that in a second here, but I mean, this is the rewarding thing about cooking, when you've actually put in the effort to practice and to get a recipe down, and you know, not just cook, but actually focus on trying to make yourself better. It is really rewarding when you know, can come to a satisfactory conclusion, and I think I did with this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to share and like and do all that good stuff. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me, and if you guys could amp it up, share a bit more, especially videos like this, where I've put a lot of work into it. This video was 2 weeks in the making pretty much, so I worked really hard on it. So if you guys could share it, if you guys could thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, that would be super amazing, because yeah, this turned out really good. Thanks again for watching. I will see you guys on the next video. Everybody have a wonderful day.